तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नमः श्री शङ्करानन्दगुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणि सुखबोधाय कोऽयं विधीयते। Now we saw in the verse 19 how all the jnanendriyas, buddhindriyas, jnanendriyas means the sense organs. And why are they called jnanendriyas? Because they give jnanam, they give knowledge, and they are all crafted individually from the sattvikamsha, means the sattvika portion, the sattva portion of the each of the 5 elements. Each one has led to kramat has led to that. We saw that. This is a very nice thing to understand. And then there is a krama here, and the krama means the order is very important, and the order is such that there is a connection between the individual components of this body mind sense complex and the jagat. And what is the connecting force? It's the knowledge of Ishvara. Ishvara as Adhidaivika, the law that connects the individual Adhyatmika with Adhibhautika, the elementals. So this way there is no possibility at all of feeling alienated from the Jagat, from the people, from the situation. There is no possibility. Still, because of Maya, Aghatita Ghatana Patiyasi Maya, she who makes the impossible possible, because of that there is all kinds of feeling alone, isolated, isolation, experiences of isolation, etc. Might be there as the experience of the jiva trying to get out of this conundrum of Atma Ajnanam. So then we also saw how the objectifying sense, the sense that objectifies a particular element like space, ears, there is a connection between that. And so all the sense organs are born of the sattva portion of the 5 elements. This discussion was completed in verse number 19. Now we need what do we need? Now the sense organs are created. This is like the so-called creation cosmology. The creation cosmology in the Vedic, in Vedanta, is not for the sake of the creation. We are not in the least bit interested in creation. Why? Because why establish something that is going to be dismissed later on? No point. So, but then why is the text here and all the other Upanishads also which deal with this, why there is this creation cosmology? Why is there? It is there to understand the order. It is there to understand Ishvara. Because the creation is non-separate from the creator. First thing we have to understand is that between the creation and the creator there is no difference. That what we call the effect, karya, the creation is nothing but the manifestation of the creator alone, number one. And number two, to see that the whole world, the jagat that is manifest, is extremely orderly. There is not even the so-called disorder. If you sense disorder, then that disorder is also part of another order. The disorder is also part of another order, each one being so vast. So the creation cosmology is there to understand Ishvara first as the manifester of the universe, all power, all might, omniscient, all knowledge, everything, and then later on to understand that I, this consciousness, is not separate from that Ishvara, which is also, when you divest cognitively all the power and the pelf, what is there, what constitutes Ishvara is nothing but Brahman consciousness. So therefore we don't get caught up in the creation cosmology except to understand these two things. First is the presence of Ishvara in everything and the intelligence of the order. That is the reason why it is so beautifully and elaborately explained here, and also in other Upanishads like Aitareya Upanishad, etc. So then the 20th verse talks about the connection between the sense organs and the mind, buddhi, etc. So I explained this yesterday. Just a recap, the sense organs are what? Outwards. And manaha buddhi is what? Inwards. So the what is out there has to be brought in here in order to get something, in order to get the impressions. And why do I need to get the impressions? In order to act. Why do I need to act? Because there is karma. All that is going to be pointed out. So there is kama, there is karma, desire is there, all these things are there, and so therefore this is very, very beautiful. What is that? This bahishkarana, the karanas means instruments, the karana, the instruments that are outward focused would be useless if they just kept on taking notes. Yes, there is a blue colored sky. Yes, there is water. Yes, there are mountains. The eyes are keeping on reporting. And then what are the ears doing? Yes, there are sounds. For whom are all these sounds? See, if you have a journalist and then there is no newspaper, there is no online outlet, for what purpose are they taking all these notes? So the one for whom these notes are being taken and these sense organs function as reporters is the one that is called antahkarana. And we saw what that comprises. The first is manaha, the vacillating faculty, and then the decisive faculty called buddhi, often translated as intellect, but not a very good translation. Buddhi is better. Yeah, and then we have, what else do we have? Chittam, the storehouse of all kinds of emotions from the present and the past, everything, including the unconscious mind. And then finally, what do we have? Ahankara. What is the ahankara? The one that owns up all these three, the ones that owns up. Oh, these reporters in the form of the sense organs work for me. The one who keeps saying me, me, me. This ahankara is on a quest to collect identifications, collect things, become big. It really, all it wants is, it's a big baby, the ahankara. It just wants to be big. Stupid thing, does not understand it's already big. It is already so big that it cannot become bigger. It is Brahman, it doesn't understand, and therefore it tries to be big by amassing and accumulating all kinds of things. It wants to amass, it wants to accumulate, it wants to gather, it wants to collect. First it collects all the body, mind, sense, complex accoutrements and says, this is me. This is first, it says, this is mine. That is okay, that's at least objective. But then what is mine becomes what? This is as good as me. Dehe nashte aham nashtaha. If something happens, I am as good as the body. If something happens to the body, I am destroyed. So like this, the ahankara keeps collecting things in order to become relevant, become within quotes. Not understanding that this becoming life is the problem, And what one wants is to get out of this becoming life. So this ahankara grows and grows and grows, and then starts to get very frustrated. First it tries to see what all is there to grab, catch a hold of, identify, because ahankara means insecurity. Ahankara means that which cannot be inquired into. You start inquiring into the ahankara, then what happens? It just disappears. And in fact, the definition of ahankara is vicharam na sahate. Cannot stand inquiry, like the modern day politicians. Yeah. You start an inquiry and then they disappear. They are not there. And the Pujya Swamiji used to illustrate this with a story that happened in his time, that there was one helpful person in a marriage and always doing things and going about here, hustling, bustling all the time. And then the bride's people assumed that he was from the groom's side. And what did the groom's people assume? Where was he from? Neither the bride's side nor the groom's side. And so he kept sort of coming here, coming there, helping himself to this, that and the other. And then finally, then when they sat down and then the bride's people met the groom's people, just by way of conversation to find out how is he related. He seems to be everywhere all at once. What is happening? Oh, you're so and so, he seems to be a very helpful person. What? Our so and so? I thought he belonged to you. Then they looked for him and he was gone. Ahankara is like that. And so the next verse is going to talk about the crafting of all these things and then how it has come about. Tairantah karanam sarvaihi vritti bhedena tadvidha mano vimarsha rupam syat buddhisyan nishchayatmika. Yeah. Repeat. Yes, all right. Yeah. Tairantah karanam sarvaihi vritti bhedena tadvidha mano vimarsha rupam syat buddhisyan nishchayatmika. Taihi sarvaihi. What is this taihi? Taihi refers to the various bhutaihi. Taihi bhutaihi. Bhutaihi means what? Elements. Taihi bhutaihi. Because of these elements, and earlier the elements was taken one by one. Taihi sarvaihi. Here it's the samashti sattvikamsha of all the five elements. There it was individual. Now the sattva portion of all the elements taken together constitute the antahkarana. So the sattva portion individually constitute what? Ears, all these things, sense of hearing, sense of this thing. Then why not take it individually? Individually means it will only do one thing. Now we want it to do everything, and so therefore taihi sarvaihi bhutaihi antahkaranam upajayate, we have to add. Taihi sarvaihi bhutaihi, due to the total presence of the sattvika portion of all the five elements taken together, antahkaranam jayate or upajayate is born. Then what? So then further tat dvidha upajayate. In a twofold form it is born. Like I mentioned yesterday, he is not going to talk about chittam and ahankara. He is only going to talk about manaha and buddhi. So tad dvidha. Tad dvidha means this antahkarana is then, what is that called? Twofold, divided further. Divided twofold. Divided in a twofold manner. Tad dvidha. Based on what? Vritti bhedena. That is the hetu for this division. The cause for this division is what? Vritti bheda. The word vritti means many things. It means thought form. It means livelihood. Bhiksha vritti. It means also vyavahara. Okay? Any kind of transaction is also vritti. Here what does it mean? Thought forms. Two kinds of thought forms. What are they? Mano vimarsha rupam syat. The mind first, manaha, that which is called manaha is vimarsha. Vimarsha means doubt. So whenever you doubt, what is happening? The mind is up front. Doubt. Vimarsha. Vimarsha is constantly being plagued by doubt. And then mano vimarsha rupam syat. And then what about the buddhi? Buddhi syat nishchayatmika. There is a sandhi there. The takara converts into nakara. So buddhi syat nishchayatmika. Nishchayatmika means the decisive faculty is called buddhi. Should I come to class or not? You know, this is what? Yeah. Which part of the mind is this? Manaha. Well, so many people are there. If I don't go, I will not be missed. Yeah. But then somehow the teacher knows, so better go. Yeah. And then you end up going, and then what happens? Buddhi. Buddhi has prevailed. So like this, or you just sit in the doubt for 45 minutes of the 1 hour class and come 45 minutes later. Buddhi woke up a little late. That's all. So like this, the manaha and buddhi is pointed out in verse number 20. Now we have what is that called? We have the part A of the Sukshma Sharira being crafted right in front of the eyes. In the next verse, the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, what we call the subtle body, made up comprising the subtle elements, is going to be complete. Again, when we talk about Akasha, Vayu, etc., we are talking of the subtle elements. The Sattvika portion of the individual subtle elements, the Sattvika portion of the total subtle elements make up the mind, buddhi, antahkarana, etc., and also the 5 sense organs. Now what? Now we take the rajas aspect of the individual subtle elements. Rajas means what? Movement. Rajas is not all bad. Rajas means movement. And movement is necessary because you can't just be, you can't just have the mind and the buddhi and everything and not be, and being blessed with the buddhi, being blessed with the mind, and then having this wonderful jagat reporting to the buddhi and the mind. How frustrating it would be if I did not have hands and legs to do something about it. How frustrating would it be if I cannot pursue the desires that are already there in the heart. How are the desires there? The desires are there by looking at everything, by listening to everything. The desire is created, and that desire needs a place of fulfillment, and that the place where the desire is fulfilled cannot be just in the mind. It has to have, the desire has to, for the desire to be fulfilled, there has to be what? Action. And for the activity to take place, we need organs of action. Only sense organs are not enough. That would be a very flawed jagat. Everybody would be frustrated. Why? Because here we have antahkarana, sense organs, but no way to act. then that would be very, very difficult. It would be a flawed creation. And so therefore, from the individual Rajas Amsha, the Rajas portion of the individual 5 elements, we have the organs of action. Let us see that. Rajomshaif panchabhistesham kramat karmendriyani tu vakpanipadapaayupastha abhidhanani jagnire Rajomshaif panchabhistesham kramat karmendriyani tu vakpanipadapayu upastha abhidhanani jagnire. Rajomshaihi panchabhihi, by the Rajomshaihi, by the 5 elements, panchabhihi, we have to add bhutaihi, panchabhihi bhutaihi rajomshaihi kramat indriyani tu utpannani karmendriyani utpannani. We have to supply that. So with the Rajas portion of what? 5 elements, not together, here individually. Rajas portion of the 5 elements, tesham, from them, kramat, in an orderly fashion. And that same order we have to see, we have to look at. Kramat karmendriyani, the karmendriyas came. The karmendriyas came from the 5 elements. And what are the karmendriyas individually if we list? What are they? Vak, speech, pani. What is pani? Hands. Pada, legs. Payu, payu is organs of elimination. Upastha, reproductory organs. Abhidhanani, utpannani. Abhidhanani means having the names. What are the names? We have already seen the names. Vakpanipayu, Vakpanipadapayu, Upasthani, Abhidhanani. Having so called as these, so and so, Jagnire. They have come about. They have come about means that they have been created. The karmendriyas, and the karmendriyas are important because now we have completed the individual body mind sense complex. The casing or the nama rupa for this Ishvara to abide in the form of this individual called what? Jiva is almost complete. This is the shell. And it has everything that is needed. What is needed? The ability to think, the ability to come to conclusions, the ability to see, hear, all these things, and the ability to act, the ability to know, the ability to act, all this is completed. So then Vak means speech. Speech is an organ of action, and it is dependent on rasana, tongue. So the tongue has the unenviable position of being both a karmendriya and a jnanendriya. It is both a sense organ and what? An organ of action. Very interesting. So the tongue is both a sense organ and an organ of action. Therefore they say we have to manage the tongue. If you manage the tongue, everything else is easy to manage, because the tongue sometimes trips over itself. That is what happens. Many things are said which best should remain unsaid. or many things are said without clarity. Again, Agni Devata is the presiding deity for what? Vak. Along with the eyes, Agni Devata is the presiding deity for Vak. So the clarity of speech is a blessing, because if what you think, you say. But that sounds easier said than done, because many times you may think something, but what comes out of the mouth is entirely different, completely different. That's why you have to say, no, I didn't mean this. This is not what I meant something else. That is why you have to keep editing and punctuating everything that we said. We have to keep doing that. Why? Because the Vak gets ahead of the Manas and the Buddhi. They cannot be independent actors. These karmendriyas have to be managed by the Manaha and the Buddhi. That is why we have Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, all these things, especially Shama and Dama. So what is Shama? Antara Indriya Nigraha Shamaha iti kathyate. So the management of inner organs like the mind, the buddhi, etc. is called what? Shama. And then what is Dama? Bahyendra Nigraha Damaha. The management of hands, legs and all these things. They say that people from Italy talk with their hands more than with their mouths. Always the hands are doing something or the other. And to somebody else from some other culture, that doesn't make any sense, because there's a different kind of there's a different way of doing this. But where the mumukshu is concerned, we are taught to do some kind of a tapas with the organs of action. And also the internal organs. Internal organs, don't think kidney, lungs and all. No. Internal organs is antahkarana. So this antahkarana tapasya is there. Religious austerity, spiritual austerity with regard to the mind and the buddhi, and spiritual austerity with regard to the organs of action. First, we see if Shama is there. Shama means the composure of the mind. If the mind is tranquil and composed, you don't need Dama. But Shama and Dama both are mentioned. That means what? Shama is not there. The mind is disturbed, vikshipta, disturbed, distracted and disturbed. Therefore, we have to begin somewhere to school the mind, and then it is sometimes easier to begin with what is very evident, the organs of action. You see something and the instinct first is to grab that, mine. But you school yourself, the hand that has gone there, you slowly bring it back, pat it, make it sit down in one place and just breathe deeply and not go after it. This is called the exercise of Dhamma. Another example of exercise of Dhamma, somebody says something and the instinct is to go this, immediately. Then the hand has already gone there. What do? You have to slowly make it into something else. Jai Gange Ma, you say. You have to convert it to something a little, a little less volatile. So, Ganga Mata Ki Jai. So, actually, this had formed why? To hit the person in front, because there was so much anger, like, how could you do this? No, I am a Vedanta student. Okay, slowly you lift it up and then convert it into something else. So this is Dhamma. So what the Dhamma does is Bahyendra Nigraha. I learn to manage the organs of action, starting with speech. What to say, when to say, how much to say, how much not to say, and more importantly, what not to say, when not to say. All these things sometimes take a lifetime to learn. And while I am learning it, better to err on the side of not saying too much at all. That is actually a very good, what is that called? A very good abhyasa, a very good sadhana. Vak tapas, this is called. A tapas centered on vak. But then it is easier to be in maunam. All you have to do is put a sticker. I am in maunam today, don't disturb. It's easier to not say anything at all. Vak tapas is harder. And that is what has to be perfected. Even through the maunam, the vak tapas is perfected. And the hands and legs also, they belong with you. Somehow the hands are over there, the legs, how we sit, how we stand, how we walk, all these things, the mumukshu is the whole person. For the sake of this knowledge, we learn to move in the world deliberately. What is the meaning of deliberately? Causing the least amount of disturbance. Sometimes people come, they just come to somebody's house, they come with lot of small things. One purse will be there, one something will be there, one bag will be there, and then they will put it on various places. Okay? So that if somebody else comes, there is no place for them to sit at all. It's nothing wrong. It's just that little unmindful that of how I am using space. Space is free. Nobody pays rent to Akasha. Correct? Space is free. Actually, it's not free if you think of flats and all that, because what you own in the flat is not the land, but what do you own? Space. You own space. But more or less the feeling is space is free. And so one just sprawls out. And I was there, and very unmindfully one sprawls out. All that is taken into account here. And when we talk about the karmendriyas, the discussion of how to manage the karmendriyas is very much in order. Once I was waiting for a flight somewhere in Europe, I think it was somewhere in Amsterdam or something like that. One American couple came and they sat down, they had backpacks and so many small things, and the whole row they occupied. How many people there are? 2. The seats were how many? 8 or 9 seats near the gate. We were waiting for the flight. They also came and they were also waiting for the flight. 8 seats they occupied, just the 2 of them. And then finally some of the local people came and said, please remove all this. This all can sit. You don't need a seat for your backpack. You don't need a seat for your lunchbox. Put it all on the ground so that other people can sit. This is all this kind of a mindfulness. And although the mindfulness is now much more highlighted by the Buddhists, this Buddhism got it from Hinduism only. This mindfulness is very beautiful. Very mindfully I move, causing the least amount of disturbance. In fact, in the West we strive to be visible. Oh, I have to be visible. I have to show what I am. As a jignasu, as a mumukshu, you try to be what? Invisible. That is the idea. So vak, then panipadau, same thing. And this is all going to be explained very beautifully in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. How to eat, how to walk, how to sit, how to stand, how much to do, how much not to do, so that one becomes a yukta, a person who is more or less together. That is the way to qualify for this knowledge. So Shamadama, all these things are centered on the antakarana and the organs of action. So then, now we have the individual amsha, rajas portion. Now, what happens to the total rajas amsha, total rajas portion of the 5 elements? Let us find out. Tai sarvai sahitaihi. I think we have to do this again, yeah. Tai sarvai sahitaih pranah. Vritti bhedat sa panchadha. प्राणोपानः समानश्च उदानव्यानौ च ते पुनः तैः सर्वैः सहितैः प्राणः वृत्तिभेदात् स पञ्चधा प्राणोपानः समानश्च उदानव्यानौ च ते पुनः तैः सर्वैः सहितैः along with all of them, all of what? Rajomshaihi, Panchabhi. We have to bring those two things here. Rajomshaihi, Taihi, Sahitaihi, Panchabhi, Sarvaihi, all together. What came? Prana. Prana. The word prana means many things. We shouldn't get confused. First, the word prana, we'll see how it is used here in the form of pancha prana, the subtle activities that are there over which we have no control, such as respiration, prana, also called pancha prana. Here itself two meanings are there. Prana, total, like manaha, total, and then manas, vacillatory function. Same way here. Prana, pancha prana, the five pranas together. Out of that, the first one is called what? Prana, respiration. Apana, elimination. Prana, respiration. Apana, elimination. And then, prana, prak gamanavan vayuhu. These are all connected with vayu, means the not air but the vital force, life force. Prak gamanavan vayuhu prana. Adho gamanavan vayuhu is called apana. So apana, anything that eliminates, anything that gets rid of the toxins in the body is the function of apana vayu. And then what else do we have? Vyana. Vyana is Vishvak Gamanavan Vayuhu. Vishvak means everywhere. So what is Vyana? Circulation. So if you prick somebody here, what do you get? Blood. If you prick somebody here, what do you get? Blood. Anywhere you get blood because it's always in motion. So Vishvak means everywhere. Vishvato Mukha, everywhere. And then what else do we have? Samana. Samikarana Vayuhu. Digestion. Samikarana Karaha. Samikaranam means the assimilation of what is eaten, not an ordinary thing. You eat idlis and you don't even think about it afterwards. The idlis don't, even though you think that's what is happening, the idlis are not forming a spare tire around the stomach. The idli, it's not the idlis. What is it? It is a converted idli. Annamaya. Yes. It is the vikara form of whatever we eat that is first converted into something called chile. Chile. It is not child, okay? And that chile is further converted into various things, how to nourish the endocrine glands, how to nourish the kidney, how to nourish the heart, how, we don't know. This is all the Samana Vayu's miracle. The Samana Vayu is that which digests, that which helps everything assimilate, that which grows the organs, and for the children, after the person is an adult, what does it do? It keeps the sthiti going. And so, Samikarana Vayu, and then what else is there? Udana, Udgirna Karaha, Udanaha. Udgirna means girna, that which is swallowed. Udgirna, that which is brought out. So even any kind of vomiting and all, if somebody has, that is the function of what? Udana Vayu. But the Udana Vayu has a special function to get to signal the other four pranas to exit the body. When? At the end of life. You can't tell Udana, come on, I'm sick of life. Come on, tell everybody to get out. No. Who is it programmed by? Ishvara. You are not in charge of that. Udana Vayu is the timekeeper. It's the body clock. The body clock is not measured in terms of years. The body clock is measured by the breaths we take. Breathe in, breathe out. What happens? Tick. Something upset you. Tick, 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 tick. Lifespan is shortening. Enter the yogi. What does the yogi do? He or she has perfected herself to do what? Breathe once a day. Enough. Yeah. And this perfection is what? Very nice. I breathe once a day, then I live for 25 more years. What did you achieve in 25 years? I don't know. I was busy trying not to breathe too often. That is what we have to say. But there is a certain way. This Udana Vayu is connected with the law of karma. What kind of karma? Prarabdha karma. What is Prarabdha karma? Prarabdha karma is the Prarabdha karma, what is that? Is the small amount of karma that one has to exhaust in this particular life form. So the Udana Vayu is literally tied to Prarabdha karma. When the Prarabdha is at its end, the Udana tells the other pranas, come on boys, let's get up, let's go. And they all exit the body. This is what is the arrangement. Now, one may ask, isn't there free will then? Yes, there is free will. There is free will means nowadays I can extend the life. How can I extend the life? Because there are all these medical procedures. There is life support. There is so many other ways. There is, if you have kidney failure, what is there? Dialysis is there. Transplant of various organs are there. This man lived with the heart of a pig. Pig heart was transplanted. He lived for many months. 6-7 months he lived and then finally perished. So lots of possibilities are there. And so when we look at Udana Vayu in the realm of these possibilities, then that's why I say the Udana Vayu is connected with karma. What karma? Prarabdha karma. Are all these medical enhancements to our life and to giving us quality of life, lengthening our life, which was not available before, is it interfering with Ishvara's will? Is it interfering with Prarabdha? What is your answer? Kotidvayam, 2 pakshas are there. One part of some people feel yes, some people feel no. We have to say no. Why? Because the medical enhancements are also what? Ishvara, in the form of knowledge. That's not opposed to Ishvara. Nothing is there that is opposed to Ishvara. There is no other knowledge other than Ishvara's knowledge. There is no other thing at all. And then so therefore we have to see that one is born in this time. Why was one not born during the, what is that called, Great Plague, where the average lifespan was what? 39 years. One could have been born at that time. But now one is born at this time, that means the Prarabdha is included in all the medical enhancements and everything. It is not opposed to Ishvara. But then where is the free will? The free will expresses itself individually. Individually how? Supposing one has, supposing this fellow has a lifespan of about 80 years, God given, but then leads the life on the fast lane. What does that mean? Drinks, eats all kinds of wrong things, and then fries the organs, fries the liver, fries the kidneys and everything, and then the Udana Vayu needs a certain kind of a stasis to be able to function. And then here what is happening is the acceleration of the disintegration of the organs, and so the Udana Vayu has no other option other than to recall all the pranas, and the death takes place. When does it take place? Around 60 it takes place, and then 20 more years are there. Still the prarabdha is left. What happens? Again the Shastra has some ingenious explanations. The Shastra says the person assumes the same kind of body and is there as could be there as a disembodied entity, preta sharira. That's why in cultures like Hindu Dharma, there is a lot of focus on end of life samskaras, antyeshti, so that there is some shanti given to that. Or the person could be born for a short amount of time because this shishta prarabdha is there, the prarabdha of 20 years is there, so a new body is crafted that will only last for 10 years, 20 years, however it is. So this is the arrangement. And then then what does it say? Yeah, so then pranaha, apanaha. So then there are many meanings of the word prana. Prana means hiranyagarbha. Prana means Ishvara. And prana and apana together sometimes inhalation and exhalation. All the meanings are there. And so, but here it is these 5 pranas that are there. And then here it says taihi sarvaihi sahitaihi pranaha vritti bhedat panchadha. Panchadha, 5-fold, is divided into 5. According to what? Vritti bhedat. That is the hetu for this division. The reason for this division is the 5-fold division is what? Vritti bheda. Vritti here means activity, purely activity. Don't say thought form. Don't say lifestyle. No. Vritti here means activity. Based on the activity, 5-fold division are there, and these are their names. Simple list is given. Then further, buddhi karmendriya prana pancha kairmanasa dhiya shariram saptadashabhihi sukshman tallingamuchyate buddhi karmendriya prana panchakairmanasa dhiya shariram saptadashabhihi sukshman tallingamuchyate. Now what we talk about as the subtle body is complete. What does the subtle body comprise is given here. It comprises 17 components. It has 17 components. So first is what? So first is, no, let us look according to the verse, okay? Buddhi, 1. Karmendriya, 5. So 5 plus 1, 6. Prana Panchaka, 6 plus 5, 11. So Manasa. Yeah, no, the buddhi here is not 1. Buddhi is 5. Buddhindriya, 5 it is. Okay? So that is 5 buddhindriyas, 5 karmendriyas, 5 prana. How many is that? 15. 15 plus manaha and buddhi. Well, how much is that? 17. So these 17 things together, saptadashabhihi shariram. So this body endowed with These 17 components comprises what is called Sukshma Sharira. And the Sukshma Sharira is also called what? Linga Sharira. What is this Linga Sharira? Lingyate anena. By this something is indicated. Lingyate iti, lingyate anena iti linga sharira. So anena means by this, by which, by all these 17 things, what is indicated is called Sukshma Sharira, because they cannot be very easily objectified. That's why it is Sukshma. It's not Sthula. Where is the mind? Can you objectify the mind? Yes, you can watch it and all that, but you cannot physically objectify the mind. Very difficult to objectify mind, very difficult to objectify all these things. And so you can objectify the hands, but the function of the hands very difficult to objectify. And so therefore this is what is called, together it is called Linga Sharira. Then, so this is just a list, nothing more is there. This Linga Sharira is now the subtle body is complete. The subtle body is of no use without what? Physical body. Atma is already there. Physical body. Subtle body is of no use. What will you do with a subtle body? You will be like a preta. Preta Sharira is that only. Subtle body is there, but no physical body. Again, that's why we say the people who are disembodied entities, if they are there, they must be the most frustrated. Why? Desires have not gone. Desires are there, but you cannot do anything about it. Oh, but then why is Pani, Padav, those are all actual organs? Why are they in the subtle body? Because we are talking of the subtle hands, the functionality of what the hands can do, the potential. That is what we are talking about. And the Vyashti subtle body connects to what? Samashti subtle body. And that, see, now we have come from Prajna, complete merging with Ishvara. I don't know I am, I don't know that I know, I don't know and I don't know that I don't know. From there we have had a little bit of a subtle differentiation, and the subtle differentiation now connects to or is one with Ishvara in the subtle form. What is that called? Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha. So then, and the individual from the the individual from the standpoint of the subtle body is called what? Taijasa. So now we have completed the journey from Prajnatvam to Taijasatvam. From the Prajna, from the undifferentiated consciousness which is one with Ishvara, experienced when? Deep sleep, very good. Experienced in deep sleep, now we have come to Ardha Vikasa. Ardha Vikasa means halfway there. Halfway there, half aware. And what is this half awareness? The half awareness is like the dream state, where all the accoutrements are there, but the dream body is of no use in the waking state. The dream body can have dream transactions with the dream objects, but then is of no use in the waking state at all. Similarly, the subtle body can have subtle transactions, but is of no use without the physical body. The subtle body is also what? Non-separate from Ishvara, is one with Ishvara, but then you cannot say it is Ishvara in the same way as Prajna, because that was undifferentiated. It's the same Ishvara, but the Ishvara has a new abhidhana, a new naming is done only for the purposes of this connection. Why should I need this connection? Because the jiva is disconnected to begin with. Here to show the connection that the individual identified with the subtle body is called what? Taijasa. Because there is a lot of tejas, there is a lot of knowledge, there is the pratibimba of consciousness, That consciousness is reflected in the mind, in the antakarana, in the organs of action. Everything gets power to do things, except the ability to do is there without the ayatana to do. Ayatana means the vehicle. So all the functioning of the car is there, except the whole car, the vehicle is not yet made. So the vehicle should be there. And it's not enough to just have horsepower, the horses should be there. So like this, the subtle body here is called what? Here is called Taijasa. So Taijasa, and then this 17-fold subtle body is also called Linga Sharira. And then the next verse is going to explain this very beautifully. Prajnastatrabhimanena Taijasatvam prapadyate Hiranyagarbhatam Ishah Tayor Vyashti Samashtita Prajnastatrabhimanena Taijasatvam prapadyate Hiranyagarbhatam Ishah Tayor Vyashti Samashtita. We'll just see the translation and we'll see the rest next time. When will be the next time? After we finish, what is that? Bhagavad Gita. We'll have plenty of time to do this. So, Prajnaha Tatra means Yatra, in this context. Tatra, in this context. Prajnaha Abhimanena. Prajnaha, that which was called as Prajnaha, where was it called? Look at the verse and tell me. Seventeenth verse. In the 17th verse, the one who was called as Prajna, who is that? You were merged with Ishvara, as in the experience of deep sleep, or even before the body is formed, in between two cycles of creation, whatever you want to take. So that one which was called Prajna, where Tatra means in verse 17. So the one that was called as Prajna in verse 17, how was he or she called Prajna? Abhimanena. Abhimana with what? With I don't know, and I don't know that I don't know. And now the same Prajna with a new Abhimana, identification with what? Buddhi karmendriya panchakaihi manasadhiya, with everything mentioned in verse number 23. First the Abhimana was with what? Nothing in particular. Now the Abhimana is with what? With the Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira Abhimani Atma. Same Atma. The individual here, the Atma, endowed with, identified with Sukshma Sharira Abhimani Atma, Taijasatvam prapadyate. Prapadyate apnoti, gains. Gains what? A status called Taijasatvam, Taijasa-ness, Taijasa-hood. This is a very ingenious naming here, and we'll see more later. Taijasatvam prapadyate. Abhimanena. Abhimana with what? These 17 aspects, the components that were mentioned before. And then this is at the individual level. What is happening at the collective level? Hiranyagarbhatam. So here, this tva and ta are two suffixes that make abstract nouns. Okay, so in the first one he uses tvam, tva, taijasatvam, and then in the second one he uses ta, feminine, tvam, neuter. Okay, hiranyagarbhatam prapadyate. Ishvara gains the status of what? Hiranyagarbha, hood, hiranyagarbha, ness. Both tva and ta mean the same thing. Ness, hood, abstract noun. So the prajna, by identifying with the subtle body, gains what? The Taijasa, hood, and then the Ishvara identifying with what? The Samashti subtle body. All the subtle bodies identified not in the same way, okay? Here the Taijasa, the individual has no other option except to be identified due to what? Ajnanam. Ishvara identified means out of complete volition, choice. There is no entrapment into the subtle body or into the subtle universe. So connected to, we should say, not identified, Hiranyagarbhatam Ishaha Samashtita. Samashtita means the Hiranyagarbhata of Ishvara is because of the identification or the connection with the total. Ishvara's connection with the total is not an entrapment, it is not involuntary, but the Jiva's connection with the subtle body is what? Completely due to ajnanam, involuntary connection. Okay? One is coming under the spell of Maya, one is playing with the Maya. More we'll see later. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.